Alright, so I just dropped $4,000 on what might be the most controversial drone comparison of 2025. 3 drones, 1 brutal mountain test, and a discovery that completely changed my mind about which one you should actually buy. And here's the thing, if you're about to spend your hard-earned money on any of these, what I found in the next 12 minutes could literally save you from making a $1,000 mistake. Because I took the DJI Mavic 4 Pro, the Air 3S, and the Mini 5 Pro to the absolute limit. I'm talking 60-mile-per-hour winds at 10,000 feet, real-world backpack torture tests, and side-by-side footage that reveals something the spec sheets will never tell you. But before we dive in, you need to understand something critical, and I'm going to reveal this at the 8-minute mark about why the most expensive drone here might actually be the worst choice for your specific situation. Stick around because the results genuinely shocked me, and I've been flying drones professionally for 7 years. Who this is for now, before anyone in the comments roasts me, let me be crystal clear about who this video is for. If you're a filmmaker, a documentary creator, a YouTube content producer, or honestly anyone who treats drones as a serious storytelling tool rather than just a toy, this is your guide. I'm approaching this entire comparison through that lens, because that's how I use drones. They're one of the essential cameras in my kit, right alongside my main camera body. Here's my promise to you. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly which drone matches your needs, your budget, and your shooting style. No fluff, no speculation, just real-world testing and honest conclusions. And I'm going to break down something at the 10-minute mark about portability that completely contradicts what every other review is saying. It's a game changer, and it might be the single most important factor in your decision. But here's what you need to understand right now. These aren't just incremental upgrades from each other. Each drone serves a fundamentally different purpose, and choosing wrong means you'll either be frustrated by limitations or you'll be carrying unnecessary weight and complexity. So, let's break this down properly. The camera battle. Let's talk about what actually matters when you're up in the sky trying to capture stunning footage, the camera system. And this is where things get really interesting because the differences here are way more significant than just megapixel counts and marketing jargon. The Mavic 4 Pro comes equipped with a Hasselblad 4/3 sensor on its main camera. Specifically, it's a 100-megapixel sensor that uses quad-Bayer technology for 25 effective megapixels in standard shooting. Now, if you're thinking, okay, cool, but what does that actually mean for my footage? Here's the translation. Better low-light performance, which means you can shoot during golden hour for an extra 30 to 40 minutes compared to these smaller sensors. You get richer colors, smoother gradients in skies, and that professional depth that makes your footage look expensive. This main lens is a 28mm equivalent, and it shoots up to 6K at 60 frames per second. Meanwhile, both the Air 3S and the Mini 5 Pro now sport 1-inch sensors, a massive upgrade for the Mini 5 Pro compared to previous mini drones. The Air 3S features a 50 MNRP 1-inch sensor, while the Mini 5 Pro also has a 50 MNRP 1-inch sensor. Both shoot 4K at 60 frames per second on their main 24mm lens, and it's worth noting that both of these now have the same sensor size. That's a huge upgrade for the Mini 5 Pro. And honestly, for most creators, this is more than enough. The footage looks fantastic, especially when you're exporting for YouTube or social media. But here's something crucial that only the Mavic 4 Pro offers, a variable aperture that goes up to f11. This means you can shoot in bright conditions without needing ND filters as heavy, and you have more creative control over your exposure. It's a small detail that makes a massive difference when you're trying to nail that perfect shot in harsh midday sun. Now, let's talk slow motion, because this is where all 3 drones actually level the playing field. Every single one can shoot 4K at 120 frames per second. Personally, I live at 60 frames per second. It's that sweet spot where you get beautiful cinematic motion without your footage looking like a slow-motion cliche. When you drop 60 FPS footage onto a 30 FPS timeline, everything just glides. It's that professional polish that separates amateur drone footage from something that looks legitimately cinematic. Here's where the Mavic 4 Pro pulls ahead in a massive way. D-Log on all 3 cameras. The Air 3S and Mini 5 Pro get D-Log M, which is a flattened color profile that's great for color grading. But D-Log is the real deal. It's flatter, it preserves more dynamic range, and when you're trying to match your drone footage with your main camera, say a Sony A7 series or a Canon R5, D-Log just integrates seamlessly. D-Log M works, don't get me wrong, but if you're a professional colorist or you're delivering to clients who expect broadcast quality footage, that D-Log option is worth its weight in gold. The portability test. Okay, here comes the part that everyone obsesses over, but most reviews get completely wrong. Portability and real-world pack size. Because specs on a website are one thing, but actually cramming this gear into a backpack alongside your camera body, lenses, and accessories. That's the reality check. I'm using my Shimoda 40-liter backpack here, which is pretty standard for adventure and documentary work. First, I load in my main camera gear, my Sony a7 III with a 20-70mm lens, a 50mm prime, and a 16-25mm wide angle. That fills up the main camera compartment. Now comes the drone, controller, and batteries. The controller is a constant across all three setups. I'm using the DJI RC Pro 2, which is larger, but absolutely worth it for the brighter screen when you're flying in direct sunlight. The Mini 5 Pro, it slides in like it was designed for this exact bag. It fits perfectly next to the controller, and I can still pack 3 batteries in the surrounding spaces without any Tetris-level reorganization. There's even room left for a 360 camera or additional accessories. This is genuinely impressive if you're the kind of creator who's constantly traveling, jumping on planes, or hiking into remote locations where every ounce matters. The Mini 5 Pro is like having a professional camera that disappears into your bag. The Air 3S is where things get interesting. It's noticeably larger, but here's what surprised me. It doesn't actually require me to leave any gear behind. I can still fit my 3 lenses, my main camera, the controller, and the drone with 3 batteries. It takes up more space, sure, and I lose the ability to pack that 360 camera. But for a drone that has significantly more capabilities, that trade-off feels reasonable. Now the Mavic 4 Pro, and this is where conventional wisdom says it's too big, it won't work. But watch this. It fits. It's tight. It's definitely the bulkiest of the 3, but I'm not leaving essential gear behind. The camera bodies and lenses still fit. The controller still fits, and I can pack 3 Mavic 4 Pro batteries. Do I lose some organizational space? Yes. Is it a deal breaker? Absolutely not, and here's why. The weight test revealed something that completely changed my perspective. The Mini 5 Pro with 3 batteries, 1 pound, 8 ounces, incredibly light. The Air 3S with 3 batteries, 3 pounds, 2 ounces. And the Mavic 4 Pro with 3 batteries, 4 pounds, 4 ounces. Here's the revelation. Going from the Air 3S to the Mavic 4 Pro only adds 1 additional pound to your pack weight. 1 pound. For that single pound, you're getting a substantially better camera system, an extra telephoto lens, D-Log instead of D-Log-M, and better wind resistance. Unless you're truly counting every single ounce for an ultralight backpacking trip, that 1 pound difference is negligible when you consider what you're gaining. Lens Showdown. This is where we separate the casual drone users from the serious filmmakers, the lens options. And this might be the single most important section of this entire video if you care about crafting compelling visual stories. Let's start with the wide lens. The Mini 5 Pro and Air 3S both feature a 24mm equivalent, while the Mavic 4 Pro has a 28mm. You might think, wider is better for drones, and in tight spaces, you'd be absolutely right. That 24mm gives you more breathing room when you're flying through canyons, forests, or urban environments. The Mavic 4 Pro's 28mm is slightly more compressed, slightly tighter, and in confined spaces, you'll notice it. But here's where things get absolutely magical: the 70mm lens. Both the Air 3S and Mavic 4 Pro have this, and it is an absolute game changer for storytelling. With a 70mm lens, you can create this stunning parallax effect where the background appears to move at a completely different speed than your subject. You can isolate your subject, compress landscapes in ways that make mountains look massive and imposing, and create footage that genuinely looks like it was shot from a professional helicopter with cinema-grade equipment. I use the 70mm lens probably 60% of the time when I'm flying. It drives focus. It creates drama. It makes ordinary scenes look extraordinary. When you orbit around a subject with a 70mm lens, you get this buttery smooth motion with layers of depth that a wide lens simply cannot replicate. This is the lens that elevates your work from nice drone footage to, wait, how did you get that shot? Now, what about the Mini 5 Pro? It has a digital 2x crop that gives you approximately a 48mm equivalent. It's not a true optical lens. You're essentially punching into the sensor. Does it create some of that compressed look? Yes. Does it give you a bit of that parallax effect? Sure, but compared to the optical 70mm on the Air 3S and Mavic 4 Pro, there's a noticeable quality difference. The image is softer, you lose some detail, and in post-production, it just doesn't hold up the same way. And then there's the absolute beast, the 168mm telephoto lens, exclusive to the Mavic 4 Pro. This is actually DJI's second-generation 168mm lens, marketed as 6x zoom on the Mavic 4 Pro compared to the 7x on the Mavic 3 Pro, due to the main camera's tighter 28mm focal length. And it's a massive improvement over the Mavic 3 Pro's version. The previous telephoto was questionable, soft around the edges, and honestly, many pros rarely used it. But this new 168mm on the Mavic 4 Pro, it's sharp, it's usable, and it opens up creative possibilities that simply don't exist on any other consumer drone at this size. You can shoot wildlife from 200 feet away and make it look like you're standing right there. You can create these hyper-compressed landscape shots where mountains stack on top of each other. You can orbit around subjects with this insane spinning motion, where the parallax between foreground and background creates this almost dizzying cinematic effect. These are shots that used to require helicopter rentals and cinema camera packages costing tens of thousands of dollars. The 70mm can shoot 4K at 120 frames per second for that slow-motion goodness, and the 168mm can hit 4K at 100 frames per second. Both are more than enough for professional delivery. Extreme conditions test. All right, this is where theory meets reality, because anyone can fly a drone on a calm, sunny day in their backyard. But what happens when conditions get ugly? When wind speeds hit 40, 50, 60 miles per hour? When you're at altitude and the weather turns? This is what separates a toy from a professional tool. I took all three of these drones up to a mountain peak where the wind was absolutely howling. We're talking gusts strong enough to literally blow my hat off, strong enough that standing upright required some effort. And I flew each drone in identical conditions. Same location, same time of day, same wind speeds. The Mini 5 Pro did admirably well considering its size and weight, but you can see in the footage there's bounce. There's this micro jitter, especially when you're trying to hold a steady shot or execute a slow, controlled movement. It's fighting the wind constantly, and while the gimbal does its best to stabilize, physics eventually wins. The drone is light, which is fantastic for portability, but that same lightness becomes a liability when wind speeds increase. The Air 3S handles significantly better. More weight, more power, better wind resistance. The footage is noticeably smoother, and I felt more confident flying in these conditions. It's a capable drone that can handle the majority of challenging situations you'll encounter in real-world professional work. But the Mavic 4 Pro, it's like flying a completely different class of aircraft. This thing just plants itself in the sky and refuses to budge. I was doing smooth orbits with the 168mm telephoto lens, the longest, most unstable lens option, and the footage is rock solid. No bounce, no jitter, just buttery smooth cinematic shots, even in conditions where I was genuinely concerned for the safety of the smaller drones. And let's talk speed, because this matters more than you might think. The Mavic 4 Pro maxes out around 56 miles per hour, 90 km/h in sport mode. The Air 3S can hit around 60 miles per hour with a slight tailwind. The Mini 5 Pro has been dramatically improved from its predecessor and now reaches better speeds than the Mini 4 Pro. Why does this matter? Because when you're fighting a headwind or when you need to quickly reposition to catch changing light, that extra speed and power make the difference between getting the shot and missing it entirely. I attempted the same complex shot with all three drones, a low-altitude push-in through some trees with significant wind coming from the side. The Mini 5 Pro struggled, requiring multiple attempts and still showing some instability. The Air 3S nailed it on the second try. The Mavic 4 Pro executed it perfectly on the first attempt with zero adjustments needed. That's the difference between a good drone and a professional tool. Features and special abilities. Let's talk about some features that might be absolute deal breakers, depending on your content creation style. First up, the rotating gimbal. Both the Mavic 4 Pro and Mini 5 Pro have this, and if you shoot vertical content for TikTok, Instagram Reels, or YouTube Shorts, this is massive. With a rotating gimbal, when you flip to vertical mode, you're using the full sensor. You get maximum resolution, maximum quality, no cropping. The Air 3S doesn't have this. When you go vertical, it crops to a 2.7K section of the sensor. You lose resolution, you lose quality, and if vertical content is a significant part of your workflow, this limitation becomes frustrating fast. Plus, that rotating gimbal unlocks creative transitions. You can rotate the camera mid-flight for these dynamic perspective shifts that add a unique flavor to your edits. The Mini 5 Pro features 225-degree gimbal rotation, while the Mavic 4 Pro can rotate up to 400-degree for even more extreme Dutch angles and creative shots. It's one of those features you don't think you need until you have it, and then you can't imagine going back. All 3 drones feature active track with enhanced subject detection and omnidirectional obstacle avoidance. You can draw a box around your subject, whether that's yourself, a car, a person hiking, and the drone will lock on and follow. You can set different tracking modes: follow from behind, circle around, track from the side, and all 3 perform exceptionally well. But here's a feature that's genuinely underrated: the auto shot mode. You set your subject, you tap auto, and the drone starts autonomously creating cinematic shots. It'll orbit at different altitudes, it'll execute pull-aways and push-ins, it'll combine movements for complex shots that would normally require skilled piloting. This is perfect for solo creators who need dynamic footage of themselves without the complexity of manually flying while performing. I tested this extensively on my mountain hike, and the results were legitimately impressive. The Mini 5 Pro created some gorgeous orbiting shots as I was walking up the trail, and I wasn't even touching the controller. For YouTube creators, documentary filmmakers working alone, or adventure athletes who need footage of themselves, this feature is genuinely game-changing. The final verdict: all right. Moment of truth. After weeks of testing, thousands of dollars spent, and more flight time than I care to admit, here's exactly which drone you should buy based on your specific situation. Choose the Mini 5 Pro if you're primarily traveling by air and need maximum portability, you're on a tighter budget, but still want professional quality 4K footage with that new 1-inch sensor, you shoot a ton of vertical content and need that rotating gimbal, or you're just starting out and want a drone that's less intimidating to fly. This drone punches way above its weight class, and for casual creators or those prioritizing portability above all else, it's an outstanding choice. Choose the Air 3S if you absolutely need that 70mm lens for storytelling, but you have strict weight requirements. You don't need the absolute best image quality but still want that dual camera setup, or you're a step below professional work and don't need D-Log. It's a fantastic middle ground, but here's my honest take. In most scenarios, I'd either save money and go with the Mini 5 Pro or spend a bit more and jump to the Mavic 4 Pro. Choose the Mavic 4 Pro if you're doing professional client work and need that D-Log workflow to match with your cinema cameras. You want the absolute best image quality available in a consumer drone. You need that 168mm telephoto for unique creative shots you're regularly flying in challenging weather conditions, or that 1 extra pound of weight is a non-issue for you. This is the professional choice, and after extensive testing, it's the drone I'm grabbing 90% of the time. Here's the thing, nobody's talking about that 1 pound difference between the Air 3S and Mavic 4 Pro is negligible when you factor in what you're getting. Better sensor, D-Log on all cameras, that incredible 168mm lens, superior wind handling, variable aperture. Unless you're genuinely counting every single ounce, the Mavic 4 Pro is worth that minimal extra weight. Now, here's what you need to do right now. If you're in the United States, there are some serious customs and import complications happening with DJI products as we speak. I created a dedicated video explaining exactly how to purchase these drones legally and avoid the headaches. That link is in the description, and you need to watch that before you try to buy any of these. Drop a comment right now telling me which drone matches your needs and why. Are you Team Mini for portability, Team Air 3S for the middle ground, or Team Mavic 4 Pro for professional quality? I respond to every single comment. And if you're torn between options, tell me your specific use case and I'll give you personalized recommendations. And if this video helped you make a decision or saved you from buying the wrong drone, smash that subscribe button because I've got more real-world gear comparisons coming, including a deep dive into the best ND filter systems for each of these drones, advanced flying techniques for professional shots, and color grading workflows specifically for drone footage. The clock is ticking on these import situations. Prices are fluctuating and availability is uncertain. Make your decision, watch that purchasing guide, and get the right drone in your hands before things get even more complicated. I'll see you in the next one.